It is only the resistance of the Nigerian people that has punctuated the ability of imperialism as well as the political bourgeoisie in Nigeria in being able to fully achieve that goal. And that's why in our press text, we directly linked the current policies, the IMF urban policies of the Tinubu regime, to the Babangida structural adjustment program for Nigerians to be able to see that these are one and the same struggle. The struggle that we wage, that our past generation wage, that ASUU waged against the IBB government, against the Obasanjo government, against SAP, is essentially the same struggle that we are confronted with today. It's a struggle of the accotilators, to plunder the wealth and resources of our country and use it, to benefit just a few of them and multinational companies abroad. Yes. While the mass majority continue to wallow in poverty. And that's why you see that when they talk about the economy and we talk about the economy, there's always a sharp difference. Up till now, if you ask Tinubu, and it's reflected in the statement that he issued today, the presidential statement he issued today. If you go and check that statement, Tinubu is convinced that the past 2 years has been El Dorado for Nigeria. I don't think that doesn't mean it. That's what Fela of blessed memory called Ikoyi blindness. It's a class question. If you don't wear the shoe, you do not feel it. Dangote will not join Nigerians to say that the past 2 years is one of unmitigated disaster. Why? Because it was within the past 2 years that he got his refinery, and he tripled his wealth to become the 86th richest person in the world. Otedola will not say the same thing. All the money launderers in Nigeria will not say the same thing. And that's why you saw some of them, also showing up at Tasso Rock in recent times as part of the realignment for 2027. All the people who are still Nigeria's wealth will not say the same. The only people who have a reason to complain are the Nigerian people, the workers, the poor, the civil servants, the students, the youth, the market women, the farmers, all those who do not have a seat at the table, who do not partake in the looting of the country's wealth, and who are, losing, the basis of these anti-poor policies. We are the ones who have a reason to complain. And that is why when it comes to an examination assessment of this government, it's not a question of whether we can't even point to anything that it has done, because there's a question that says, does it now mean that this government has failed 100%? So does it mean that it has not done anything right at all? That is not what we are saying here. Don't forget that somebody said that even a dead clock can be right at least once in a day. So that this is not an attempt to be marking somebody's script. It's not jam that we are doing. It is to say that what is the purpose of government? A government is there only in order to ensure that the Commonwealth is organized and arranged in such a way that can be beneficial to all members of society. And we are saying that under this administration, that is not the case. And I'll give you an example. If you check Tinubu's presidential statement today, he said that he has built over 5,000 primary health care. His administration's contribution to health care is unparalleled in issue. But two things I will say to him as a response. One, if he has done that much, why is he not patronizing the health sector in Nigeria? That is one. Two is University College Hospital Ibadan, where patients are now contributing fuel for the generator. Yes. Is that also part of the achievement? So that at the end of the day, you therefore see that what we are saying is that it's not that you have not done anything. It is that what you are doing does not address the key issues facing the Nigerian people. It is not. So that at the end of the day, what you are achieving is actually an economy that serves the interest of a few, while the mass majority are complaining. And that's why today Dangote and Co will not say that Tinubu has not tried. And you will see by the time 2027 political comes, all of them, they will go and contribute billions to support his second term. The same way they contributed for Obasanjo before him. Because they have actually done well. Possibly more than ever over in the last 2 years. But for the Nigerian people, it has been 2 years of hunger, it has been 2 years of pain. Yes, we have to say this, and without equivocation. The government of Tinubu is not a democratic government in any way. In fact, in some ways, it's even grammatically wrong to refer to it as a civilian government. This is a militarized democracy. This is a civilian capitalist dictator. Tinubu is not a president. Tinubu is an head of state in a civilian gaps. And that is why today, all of the rights sanctioned for Nigerians in the Constitution are being routinely violated. And nobody is talking. The legislature is under him. The judiciary is under him. Nobody can talk. The military, the police, everybody under him. And apart from all of that, he now has those they call, what do they call them now? Thugs. Yes, touts. The underworld, which is his own reserve army, if anything fails. And that is what they have been using to keep people in check. Tinubu is in Lagos today. He was in Lagos yesterday. What happened in Lagos yesterday? And that's another sign of a civilian dictator. The whole of Lagos Island yesterday was locked down. Not because he was moving on the street. Because we went to court yesterday. So we passed in front of body law. As around 10 a.m., we passed in front of body law. He was even still inside. But all the way from Falomo, CMS, everywhere, Ikoyi, locked down. People were in that place, stand still for over 6 hours, including school children. I have pictures I will share with the media of school children in a bus, about 2 buses, going for an excursion. And they were sweating. They have been there for over 5 hours. Inside the bus, sweating. Their food that they were taking for the excursion, they had to eat it right there by around 1 p.m. when we were coming back from court. And we still met them. These are supposed to be just because leaders of tomorrow. Sweating inside the bus because one human being came to town. I don't know whether Jonas understand what I'm saying. This is not to say that maybe president is passing. You stop traffic for 30 minutes. The entire island was locked down because Tinubu came home. From 9 a.m. to around 2 p.m., people on the standstill asked people who went to island yesterday whether they got to their destination before they returned. And so, when we were growing up, those are the ways dictators like Abacha and Babangida used to behave. If Babangida is coming to your town 3 days before, they would have locked up your town with Mopo, with kill and go. Us riding soldiers with rifles, with armor tank. But Babangida will not arrive for the 3 days later. But the entire town would have been locked down. That was how dictators operated. Which politicians in the First and Second Republic operated like that. So when you are saying that somebody is a dictator, we are saying that this person has decided to turn what is supposed to be civil rule into something that is indistinguishable from a military dictatorship. Both in terms of how the constitution has been discarded and the government just operates at whims. Look at what happened in Rivers State. And look at what is happening to activist journalists and bloggers. Anybody who says anything on Facebook or Twitter now can be arrested in SD. And what laws are they using to do all of this? The Terrorism Act, the Cybercrime Act. In fact, some of these provisions that they are using to jail people, they have already been, amended And yet those provisions are used to prepare case files, take it to court, and a judge will pass judgment on it. So when you say that the judiciary, the legislature, everything is reposed in one man, that is the point we are making. So to answer very clearly, just as an adoration of what has been said, what we have today is a civilian capitalist dictatorship. And the aim of that dictatorship is to continue to impose these policies, ensuring that Nigerian people will not be able to resist. And that is why today, the Nigerian people are like captured people. And I take cognizance of the question by our comrade, journalists from SR Reporters, TV. If you look at Nigeria today, we are like a captured people. People are angry, people are hungry, but people are not able to talk. Even to go from your house to the protest ground is too expensive. Even without police and soldiers saying people should not come out to protest, on the basis of the starvation that they have imposed, Nigerians on their own are unable to even go out to protest, because you have to decide whether to use that 1,000 naira to arrange correct beans and bread instead of entering keke to go and protest, and you have not eaten breakfast and you have no plan for how you will eat lunch. Those are the options before our people today on the basis of these policies and on the basis of the dictatorial actions of this government. And that is why people are in this state of hopelessness and helplessness. But some of us are not going to relent, because the difference between a citizen and a slave is that, inability to speak. That is the only difference between a citizen, a freeborn, and a slave. They don't have to put chain on anybody's hand. Once you get to a point where you cannot even speak, even while suffering, you have already been enslaved. We are rejecting that servitude. And that is why we insist on speaking, and that's why we insist on marching. And that is why the June 12 protest will go on. And we are calling on the Nigerian people to equally come up, to assume the courage, and to look this dictatorship in the eyes, and come out and march on that day, even to symbolically show to Tinubu that the Nigerian people continue to reject him and his IMF and World Bank policies. And one of the reasons why we are having this press conference today is because we do not also want today to go without a symbolic action responding to this region. We knew that they were going to use today to gloat, to burnish their own image, using taxpayers' money this time around again to paint a picture that does not exist. Nigeria is actually working. We knew. So we are not surprised by what the journalist from Niche said is happening in the newspapers today. We were expecting it. We anticipated it. And that's why we decided to organize today's press conference, in order to ensure that it should not be said that this regime marked a second anniversary of hunger and pain without the Nigerian people being able to respond appropriately to it. And we hope that journalists, when you are living here, as we are publishing the lies being told by the regime, you also have our own truth. And we hope that you help us to also publish it alongside. The last 2 points that I will take, just to end this. On the $24 billion loan and the debt profile of this country, the first thing to say is that apart from the many atrocities that this government has committed, one of the things that this government is known for is ability to lie. Propaganda and lie has been turned into an art of governance by this regime. And why do I say so? Just a few days ago, what was the news in town? that President Tinubu is reducing Nigeria's debt burden because they have successfully repaid an IMF loan. Whereas, while doing that, they are actually preparing to actually increase the debt burden. According to certain estimates, if that $24 billion is allowed, it will take Nigeria's debt profile to over 183 trillion naira. So that at the end of the day, are we moving forward or we are moving backward? And why do we need more loans, sir? When one of the official reasons why Tinubu said that subsidy must go, which he also defended in his presidential statement today, is to be able to ensure that billions of dollars that otherwise go into the pocket of marketers are actually saved to be utilized for public infrastructures and to better the life of the people. In fact, part of the things he said today in his statement is that all the 3 tiers of government have never had this is so good, given the amount of money that is now being shared through the federation account on the basis of savings from first of the removal. If that is the case, then why do we need more loans? What are these loans for? But you know that loans are for 2 things. One, whether you need it or not, you must collect it. So far you subscribe to the capitalist system, to the world capitalist agenda. Because it is through these loans that the IMF and World Bank, and behind them, the global capitalist powers, including the US and co, are able to have that handcuff around the neck of African leaders and African economies to be able to control them. So it's a system, it's a means of control. Then secondly, these loans are also an opportunity to steal resources. And that is why we do not believe in it. When you look at how much money, how much loans African governments have collected since 1960, and the developmental project and the state of public infrastructures in Africa, we are going to see a huge divide. It's as if the more money that comes in, the more disappears. But this time, are not just in the pocket of corrupt politicians, but also into the pocket of multinational firms and companies. And I'll give you an example. If China gives Nigerian government loan, it is Chinese construction company that would implement the project. If IMF World Bank gives you the loan, it is a Julius Berger. So that at the end of the day, the money they claim they are borrowing us, that we are killing our people to pay back, is actually back there and in the pocket of our leaders. So our answer to any loan at all is a capital no. We do not need it, and it must not be allowed to be collected. The ones that have been collected, those loans were not collected on behalf of the Nigerian people, because nobody was consulted. The payment of it also does not concern us. Our position is no loans and no servicing of any usurious debt. Anybody who has borrowed Nigerian government money, whether IMF and World Bank, to go and collect it from those people themselves, the Nigerian people did not give anybody mandate at any time to collect loan on our behalf. And you know why? Because this country has enough wealth, not just Nigeria, African countries entirely. And you can just begin to pick the names of African countries. DRC Congo, which is in war today, go and check the resources they have. Sudan, which has almost been leveled, go and check the resources they have. So that African countries are not poor. So we have no reason whatsoever. What we need is to have a new direction for our economy and for our continent. And that is only possible on the basis of a socialist economic program, whereby the wealth of the country and of the continent will be nationalized and placed under democratic workers' control. If you have this kind of approach, we can be able to ensure that the wealth of this continent, not just of Nigeria, is utilized in such a way as to make life better for us, develop our public infrastructures, and even if IMF and World Bank need loan, we would be able to borrow them money. That is how much resources that reside in this continent and that our ruling elite, are not utilizing. To round up, and I'll round up again with our comrade from Niche, who has a pointed question. Are we going to be protesting forever? Are we permanent agitators? Protesting forever. Are we permanent agitators? No, we are not. And that's how you see that anytime we make media intervention like this, you see that we don't just complain. We also offer our own alternative blueprint for development. None of us will be surprised today if revolution happens and the Nigerian people decide to form their own government. None of us in this room will be clueless as to what will be done. None of us. It is not about being Harvard-trained. Haven't we seen all these Harvard-trained economists? And now they have mismanaged our economy. Sure. It is ideology, it's about class consciousness. It's about taking a position that a country's wealth belongs to its people and will be utilized for the benefit of its people. That's a conscious decision that will underpin any economic program. So that is why, therefore, we are equally prepared to join forces politically, to electorally continue the resistance against these people. And discussions are ongoing. 2007 will not come, despite the fact that they may have perfected the art of rigging. But just as previous election in the recent time, 2007 will not come without the socialists, the activists, throwing a challenge electorally to the ruling elite. We are going to work that out. But the ball is now in the court of the Nigerian people. When that time comes, to also respond appropriately. The Nigerian people also need to take a decision that the time is up. The idea of always saying that I don't want to waste my vote, or I want to vote for somebody who comes from my village, even though his policies are terrible policies. I want to vote for somebody from my ethnic group or from my religion. All those ones has passed. The Nigerian people have the responsibility to ensure that both at the barricade and at the ballot box, we continue to reject these people and the economic program. And for us, we will continue to march with those who are prepared, to form such a political alternative that best meets the desires and the interests of the Nigerian working people. So far now, like Kome Pela clearly put it, all the major political parties are sleeping and going in the one direction.